Let's talk about magic.
Magic.
Spells and sorcery in Elden Ring can be some of the most powerful things to use in the game and an easy way to defeat many of the bosses in Elden Ring, and here are the best early to mid-game spells and where you can find them. Let me know in the comments below your favorite spells or any really powerful spells that I have missed, and I also guarantee that I haven't found them all, so do let me know what you have found and where you find them in the comments so that we can all help each other out. Let's first talk about the absolute staple in casting in Elden Ring, and that is the Glintstone Pebble. The Glintstone Pebble fires magic projectiles from Glintstone. This spell is very cheap, has a relatively quick cast time, and it can be accessed literally from the start of the game, and this makes it a staple for all mages and mage builds in Elden Ring. It's cheap, it's a reliable source of damage, and you can get it off very quickly. It is the starting spell for the astrologer class, and other casters can purchase this from the Wayward Ruins from Sorceress Sling once you beat the little boss there, and you can buy this from her pretty much right at the start of the game. The next is Swift Glintstone Shard, and this one is a little personal preference of mine. I prefer Swift Glintstone Shard to Glintstone Pebble, and I'll tell you why. This Glintstone Shard swiftly fires magic projectiles from Glintstone, and it functions almost exactly the same as the Pebble. However, the spell is slightly cheaper, it does slightly less damage, but the attack animation is much faster. So this allows you to spam it much quicker, especially in some scenarios where maybe you can't get Pebble off, or if you can just keep spamming this ability at targets, you can deal heaps of damage and melt them faster than you could with Pebble. You can purchase this spell from Sorceress Selene as well, but you do have to deliver her the Academy Scroll, which you get just near the lake-facing cliffs right after Stormvale Castle. There is a graveyard here. It's in South Lernia of the Lakes, that general area. Pick up this Academy Scroll and go give it to her, and she can teach you this spell. Next is Rock Sling, and this is one of the most powerful spells for that mid-game section to use, especially when you mix it with the Meteorite Staff, and the Rock Sling summons 3 rocks from the earth and sends them flying towards the target. This spell does very solid damage, especially if all the 3 rocks hit. It also staggers the target very regularly, so you can follow up with like a melee critical hit, or even just keep spamming spells when they are on the ground, which you absolutely can do. The Rock Sling is found in a chest in a cellar just north of the streets of Sage's Ruins in Caelid. You can just go grab this at the start of the game. You will need a little bit more intelligence to use this spell, so it might take a little while for you to be able to use it, but you can go grab this in Caelid straight away. You just need to go into the streets of Sage's Ruins, go into the little cellar there and grab this spell. Next up on the list is the Carian Slicer, and the Carian Slicer performs a swift and sweeping slash using a magical sword. This attack acts as a melee attack basically, but it does magic damage. This is a great spell for a mage to use in those situations where you need like a melee option where you can't get away from a target, which does happen sometimes in mages, so this is a perfect spell to use. And you can purchase this spell from Sorceress Selene as well after you deliver her the Royal House Scroll. The Royal House Scroll is located on the top of the broken structure just near the Agel Lake south side of Grace. Next is Carian Greatsword, which is almost like Carian Slicer, it's just a Greatsword version, and this performs a giant sweeping slash with a Greatsword. The spell acts very similarly to Slicer, it's just a much larger sword. The main reason that we're using this spell is primarily for a valuable spell to use on horseback. When you're on horseback, it can be hard to aim spells actually at the targets, and having a melee option, especially with the range that the Greatsword has, it's absolutely fantastic. You can hit multiple targets with this. It's a great variation to use when you are on horseback as a mage user. This spell can be purchased from Muriel, Pastor of Vows at the Church of Vows. It's pretty expensive though, it'll cost you 10,000 ruins, but you will absolutely get your money's worth by picking this up, and you can go to the West Lernia of the Lakes area and grab this as soon as you like. The next spell takes a little bit longer to get, but it is definitely well worth picking up, and that is Loretta's Great Bow. It fires a great arrow from a great magic bow. This spell has great range and damage potential. It can be charged up as well, so you can deal even more damage. It's a great opener for fights when enemies haven't seen you, and you can deal this huge amount of damage to them before they even come towards you. And this will take the place of kind of that opening spell that you will use in encounters, or if you do have time in boss fights to get this off, then absolutely do. But for the most part, in those kind of scenarios where you're dealing big heavy spells, you're probably going to use Rock Sling, but the Great Bow is a great spell to get off if you can actually get it off into those fights. This spell is obtained by defeating the Royal Knight Loretta in the Carian Manor, just to the north of the Lernia of the Lakes area. You have to beat that boss and you'll be able to get the Great Bow. That's why it's a little bit later in the game. It's got to be towards the end of the mid-game area, really. I wouldn't rush straight to do this because that mana can be very difficult if you haven't cleared Raya Lucario Academy. But other than these, there are plenty of other spells that you can tinker with. Some of the Comet spells are really powerful, but they do have a very high intelligence cost. The Great Blade Phalanx is also good, and the other little spells that you can get. There's plenty of things to tinker with, so do let me know in the comments down below what your personal favorites are and also where you find them, so we can all help each other out there. Thank you for watching this video till the end. Thank you to our members for supporting the channel. My name is NorZZa, and I hope you have a great day.